Welcome back, students, as we continue on with our read aloud of the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane, chapter 22. When we left Edward and Bryce last, they had eaten dinner in a diner, but then when the check came, Bryce said, "I can't pay the bill." And Neil swung Edward by the feet so hard that his head hit the edge of the counter, and there was a loud crack, and the world, Edward's world, went black. So let's see what's coming of Edward. It was dusk, and Edward was walking down a sidewalk. He was walking on his own, putting one foot in front of the other without any assistance from anybody. He was wearing a fine suit made of red silk. He walked down the sidewalk, and then he turned onto a path that led up to a house with lighted windows. "I know this house," thought Edward. "This is Abeline's house. I'm on Egypt Street." Lucy came running out the front door of the house, barking and jumping and wagging her tail. "Down, girl," said a deep, gruff voice. Edward looked up, and there was Bull standing at the door. "Hello, Malone," said Bull. "Hello, good old Rabbit Pie. We've been waiting for you." Bull swung the door wide, and Edward walked inside. Abeline was there, and Nellie, and Lawrence, and Bryce. This doesn't seem quite right. First of all, Edward has never been able to walk on his own before. He's always had to rely on his owner or someone else to move him around. And secondly, if he's on Egypt Street with Abeline's house, what is Lucy doing there, and Bull, and Nellie, and Lawrence, and Bryce? It doesn't seem quite right, does it? So I'm wondering what that means. Is this maybe like a dream that Edward is having? In the previous chapter, it said that Edward's world went black. So maybe all of this is happening like in a dream in his head, but not really in real life. Let's read on and see what you think about that. "Susanna," called Nellie. "Jangles," said Bryce. "Edward," said Abeline. She held out her arms to him, but Edward stood still. He looked around the room. "You searching for Sarah Ruth?" Bryce asked. Edward nodded. "You got to go outside if you want to see Sarah Ruth," said Bryce. So they all went outside, Lucy and Bull and Nellie and Lawrence and Bryce and Abeline and Edward. "Right there," said Bryce. He pointed up at the stars. "Yep," said Lawrence. "That is the Sarah Ruth constellation." He picked Edward up and put him on his shoulder. "You can see it right there." Edward felt a pang of sorrow, deep and sweet and familiar. Why did she have to be so far away? "If only I had wings," he thought, "I could fly to her." Out of the corner of his eye, the rabbit saw something flutter. Edward looked over his shoulder, and there they were, the most magnificent wings he had ever seen, orange and red and blue and yellow, and they were on his back. They belonged to him. They were his wings. Oh, what a wonderful night this was. He was walking on his own. He had an elegant new suit, and now he had wings. He could fly anywhere, do anything. Why had he never realized it before? His heart soared inside of him. He spread his wings and flew off Lawrence's shoulders, out of his hands and up into the nighttime sky, toward the stars, toward Sarah Ruth. "No!" shouted Abeline. "Catch him!" said Bryce. Edward flew higher. Lucy barked. "Malone!" shouted Bull. And with a terrific lunge, he grabbed hold of Edward's feet and pulled him out of the sky and wrestled him to the earth. "You can't go yet," said Bull. "Stay with us," said Abeline. Edward beat his wings, but it was no use. Bull held him firmly to the ground. "Stay with us," repeated Abeline. Edward started to cry. "I couldn't stand to lose you again," said Nellie. "Neither could I," said Abeline. "It would break my heart." Lucy bent her face toward Edward's. She licked his tears away. It's a very unusual chapter. So if we think about it, a lot of very improbable things are happening here. First, I think it's interesting that the author chose, again, to look at the stars. And I'm wondering, why was Sarah Ruth not with them at Abilene's house? Why is Sarah Ruth up in the stars? Is it because she passed away and she died? I'm thinking so. So remember how important those stars are to Edward. They have given him comfort over and over in all of the settings of the book. And here, someone who loved him and who he loved and cared about is now represented in a constellation in the stars. And remember, a constellation is like a picture in the stars that guides people. So, very interesting. And then all of a sudden, Edward grew wings. Do you think that really happened in real life? I'm feeling like this is kind of a dream. Like this is all happening in Edward's mind because he was hurt by Neil at the diner. And maybe he's unconscious or he's really hurt. And in his mind, he's kind of dreaming. And who's he dreaming of? He's dreaming of all the people that he loved. And he wants to be with them, especially with Sarah Ruth, who loved him so much but passed away. So I wonder, will he keep dreaming or will he wake up in the next chapter? We'll find out in just a little while.